Hey there, I'm CloudQ, and I think FF7 Remake Part 3 may be revealed the first week of June. And I'm not the only one who does. Why I and others do and what to expect from it? Let's get into it. Let's look at the grander picture first. FF7 Remake Part 3 is expected to release in 2027. I'm basing that off nothing officially stated, but on logical conclusions based off previous statements and timeframes in the trilogy's development. FF7 Rebirth took about 3 years to develop, since they've confirmed that they started to work on it after the completion of the FF7 Remake Intermission DLC, which released in 2021. That means, with Rebirth's 2024 release, development took about 3 years. I think devs have also vaguely hinted at that they think they will be able to manage Part 3 in a similar speed, because they can build on the foundations of Rebirth. Recent comments by Hamaguchi, who is Remake Part 3's director, have repeatedly confirmed that Part 3 development is going well and is on schedule. Of course, it depends on when exactly they are planning to release, but I think it's safe to say that the marketing window is starting to be wide open. Now, where do I think this first reveal or trailer could happen? There's two main possibilities: the State of Play on June 2nd or Summer Games Fest on the 5th of June. Let's talk about the State of Play first. On one hand, showing the game at the State of Play seems to be slightly at odds with Square Enix's current multi-platform strategy. They've confirmed that they want to move away from exclusivity deals and replace that with multi-platform releases. Reason being that the bigger audience seems to outweigh the benefit of the money gained from those deals. And while I can't speak on the exact finances of Square Enix, I think this is great, because long term I think the exclusive deals of Remake and Rebirth have definitely lessened the impact and long-term audience by dividing the hype and impact of the release across platforms. Adding to that, it seems like they are building towards a multi-platform release for Part 3, especially with Remake already released and with FF7 Rebirth finally coming to Switch 2 and Xbox in June. Therefore, showing the game first at a show hosted by Sony would be slightly off-brand for their current strategy. However, State of Plays are not only for PlayStation exclusive games. And there is another big reason for Square Enix to prefer appearing at the State of Play. A spot at the State of Play does not cost anything. Sony just selects and directs the show how they want from their applicants. Meanwhile, spots at Summer Games Fest are very costly. So purely cost-wise, a State of Play is definitely superior. And looking to the past, not only were Rebirth and Remake exclusive at first, Sony has dedicated spots to FF7 and even a whole State of Play to Rebirth. So there's definitely past relations between them, and that could make a State of Play reveal realistic. Sony and Square Enix have worked together on this sort of thing, so they could do it again. And there is another suspicious aspect that at least indicates that Sony is seemingly planning to release or show something big. First of all, they announced the State of Play 2 weeks in advance, which is earlier than usual. And also, they're hosting a watch party in a theater with free but very limited tickets. It's safe to say something interesting is gonna happen. Whether that will be Final Fantasy VII, we will just have to wait and see. But what about Summer Games Fest then? As I've said, simply cost-wise, Summer Games Fest is worse, because a spot at Summer Games Fest can cost a lot. Why could it still make sense to show Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 here? I think Summer Games Fest has one big benefit: a lot of eyes. State of Play also draws a lot of attention usually, but as the spiritual successor of E3, while not quite as big, as an annual event, Summer Games Fest just has a bit more broad appeal and interest from all sorts of gamers. So if you're trying to maximize the people you reach, Summer Games Fest does make a lot of sense. In general, from my experience, Summer Games Fest has been the biggest show that people have been looking towards for FF7 news since the Game Awards last year, where we didn't get anything new. Especially with the Switch and Xbox release of Rebirth being a day after the June 5th stream. There's one more possibility that I can imagine. Because what's better than one trailer? 2 trailers. If they are going all in with marketing now, I could imagine FF7 Remake Part 3 appearing at both Sony's State of Play and also at Summer Games Fest. However, I do think this is the least likely option. There has been no official announcement for Part 3 yet, except of course that we know that the remake is a trilogy. There's literally a guy on Twitter who has been posting Sephiroth saying very poor form for 192 days, because we still don't know the name of Part 3. And because of that, I'm doubtful that they would immediately drop 2 trailers in the span of 4 days back to back, as literally the first bit of marketing. I don't think it's impossible, but not super likely either. Either way, I will co-stream both shows on my Twitch channel. If you're looking for a chill watch party, join me on June 2nd and on the 5th of June to find out together what Jeff and Sony have in store for us. Also, if you don't want to miss any of my streams or videos, you can also join my Discord. I always notify you there. I'll leave both links in the description. But enough promotion, there is another topic I want to get to. What should we really expect from these shows, and what is my approach? Maybe, if you resonate with my perspective, you feel more or maybe less inclined to join me in my watch party. One of my biggest ideals is simply openness. Both to things that you don't know yet, as well as those that you are hoping or expecting to see. The latter being more relevant to Final Fantasy VII, but also games like GTA 6. With these kinds of games, I try to avoid making up specific expectations for the trailers. I'm stoked and hoping, but I avoid making specific expectations like I want to see this, and that aspect. Because that sort of thing can ruin, or at least worsen, a good thing. Think about it. If you tell yourself, I need to see a certain character in this trailer, compared to if you're just open-minded to anything. If the character is in the trailer, you will be delighted either way. But if they are not in it, in the first case, you will most likely feel some disappointment, while in the other case, you probably won't feel bad. And I know that's easier to say than to do sometimes, but in my opinion, it's worth to practice this, because eventually it will become second nature. And to me, it really makes this kind of show way more fun. This kind of attitude actually makes a lot of things more fun, in my opinion. With new games, or games that I don't know yet, it's similar, but I want to point out a specific aspect too. Like with games that you know, my motto is being open-minded, going with the flow and just enjoying the ride. And the point that I want to emphasize is, I think talking down on games that you don't like, or any games really, is a buzzkill. There's no need to be rude and negative just because it's not for you. There's always going to be games that are not for you. Personally, I just take the opportunity to get a look at what's going on in other game genres that I don't usually hear about. It's fun, to be honest. I'm not saying there's no room for criticism or discussion though. I encourage that. Just no negative vibes, please. As an example of criticism that I had, The recently released Saros had a lot of trailers at a few different shows that I co-streamed. And the game looked like it had a lot of potential, but to be honest, a lot of the trailers were not that appealing to me. It felt like they could have really presented the game in a more exciting, maybe more cinematic way. I talked about that a bit, but not from a toxic place to mock the game, but because it looked cool and like it had potential that I felt like it wasn't showcasing as much as it could. Another thing that's pretty fun to do in my opinion, get your notes app ready, or even a literal paper if you've got retro swag like that, and then when you watch along, write anything down that catches your interests or stands out to you. That way, you'll be able to check out the games later, maybe wishlist them if that's already possible, and by writing them down, you'll remember them more likely if you see them again, perhaps on a sale or on the release day. A recent example for me is actually the game Mixtape. I first saw it at Summer Games Fest last year, and it released just this month. Amazing game, by the way. I may do a review of the game because I quite enjoyed it and the online discourse about it is very weird. But before I get off track, Mixtape is an example of a sick game that I found because of shows. If you want to hear me talk about it more, keep an eye on my channel. Anyways, if you end up watching the shows and note down your favorites, feel free to share it in the comments or on my Discord server. It's always hella refreshing to hear the perspective that other gamers have on games that I may not have much to say about. Now, lastly, since this is a hype video and I am genuinely hyped for Final Fantasy VII Remake news, I cannot wait for these shows. I'm curious to see if or what we will see, but either way I'm so stoked for whenever we get news. And as a message and reassurance if you feel the same, me personally, I have immense faith in the team behind the FF7 Remake Trilogy, and I absolutely know they will deliver. This is merely the wait at your favorite restaurant. You gotta let them cook. Be it a slow cook or a quicker one, it will go hard as hell. To me, it doesn't matter how exactly they end this trilogy. It doesn't matter how exactly they do the marketing and when they do, because the certain thing to me is that they will deliver a life-changing, mind-boggling, award-worthy, generational experience. And that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. That which lies ahead does not yet exist, so let's take the journey together. I can't fucking wait. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the chat of my stream for the State of Play or Summer Games Fest. Until then, I'm CloudQ and I will see you next time. Goodbye for now.